Hello my friends, hi today. I'm Andreas from Motorfanatics and welcome to a new video. In this video I keep working on the rear axle. We bring out the big guns, the angle grinder, the not so big drill and the plasma cutter. It can't be tight if it's a liquid. Let's go! The workshop currently is a mess. And that's why before working on anything on the cars, I will go on and first of all tidy up the workshop. I know it looks just like before, just with the skyline in here, but it's several hours later and it looks like I only have moved one table, but trust me, I absolutely touched and moved everything. Everything's now, don't look there, almost everything is now pretty clean. All the tools are back in my humongous toolbox. Please ignore the metal. And now we can go on with work on a Subaru. Like Hannibal said, I love when a plan comes together. A new day, a new package. Here we have trailing arms mounted in that direction. Complete new with bushings and everything. And control arms for the front, the forward ones, lower one forward, front one, and these are both front ones, so there must be additional ones for the back. Yes! How cool is that? So instead paying for bushings the absurd price they ask for them, I just bought a complete set of lower control arms and trailing arm. Even the metal bar on the ABS sensor, which is screwed on here and I think here, is part of the ABS sensor I ordered, so I don't even have to work on that one. These are powder coated, have very decent bushings in them, at least better than OEM, especially than the old ones, the old OEM ones. And tomorrow the rear subframe will come back from the sandblasting. I already can see that it's probably not finished with painting and the paint hardening for the end of the video, but who knows? It's Tuesday today, tomorrow's Wednesday, getting everything back from sandblasting, painting everything, and then maybe Thursday assembly, Friday video. Fingers crossed, stay tuned. Guess what, guys? The bolt still doesn't want to move. I talked to Subaru. Answer was drill it out and use an angle grinder. I don't know how am I supposed to use an angle grinder right here. Probably cut it diagonal. But talking about big guns, yes, I know it's a discounted product and it's a cheap one, but it's a plasma cutter, at least. It's something. Up to 12 mil, yeah, let's do some damage. Well, for now not everything is going according to plan. First of all, for using a plasma cutter, you need good groundage, good ground. Even with sanding, it's most of the time not enough. Which leads me to this mess, this hot garbage out of plasma cutting and diagonal angle grinder cutting just to weaken the bowl. In addition to that, I started to drill them out from the top, and not only did I miss the center quite a lot by 1 to 2 mil, I broke off my 10 mil drill. So since drilling out the bolt alone didn't bring any success, plasma cutter it was, and have not used the plasma cutter for a long time. I immediately forgot to wear proper gloves, and it got a little bit hot on my fingers. But turns out plasma cutter really was the tool to use. Can't be tight if it's a liquid. Now to the boring and laborious part, drilling both sides out. And boring and laborious it was. From 5 mil to 8 mil to 10 mil to 12, 13 and even carefully 14, which helped a lot to get the bolt ends to move. And maybe, just maybe, without any hint of evidence, I in the end used a little bit of good old violence. So the second bolt is out, and sometimes if your hammer doesn't cut it, you're just not using the right hammer. So I may or may not have used excessive force to get the rest of the bolt out. Here it is. And voila! That wasn't as difficult as the first one. Learning process, I guess. And as promised, of course, the rear subframe and the mounting bracket of the diff are back in town. Everything has been sandblasted beautifully, and so first step was to coat it with my epoxy primer, epoxy deruster, and all the dark spots you see are rest particles of oxidation of rust that are now converted and sealed by the rust converter. I applied it very liberally, so you see a little bit of dripping here and there because the epoxy started to move a little bit and dragged some of the particles with it. At least that's the explanation. Unfortunately, I ran out of primer, so these are only 2 coats. The bar probably has just 1 coat, and I will need another one before I can give everything a good old coating of black to make it even. And if you look over here on this very well sorted and organized desk, you can see I've already sanded the trailing arms and the control arms to make them black too, just to keep everything in one color. Unfortunately, the bolts for everything from Subaru and the bushings for the diff, the polyurethane bushings, are still on their way, so no mounting yet. But we're getting closer, hopefully. Like I've shown you, the bolts are out from the rear knuckles. Unfortunately, this means the whole derust process still has to put through. I don't want to give them to the sandblasting because they probably will ruin the surface for the bearing and will probably ruin the bushing, which is fine on both sides. So needle gun, patience, and then sandblasting in my small cabinet and watching the bearing surface, recutting the threads, and again epoxy black done, hopefully. And lastly, I've started on the back on the car, on the underneath. What you can see here is that everything is now comparatively clean. I used the nylon wheel. Is it a nylon wire wheel if it's not a wire anymore? You've seen this side, now you can see this side is as worse, if not worse. But everything seems to be a little bit cleaner. There's no rain of dirt and debris anymore. I still need to get rid of the fuel cell. Before I do that, I need to get rid of the front front mounting bracket, front brace of the differential, which harbors a certain problem. I need to move the hoist jacking points, probably over there, but for that I need to lower the car down, and for that I need to put it onto something. I don't want to put it on the tables like I did with the Skyline, because the Skyline was actually just an empty shell with glass. So I will need something else. Probably I will put it on jack stands over here and over there, because this still looks at least a little bit, wouldn't call it massive, less flimsy, let's call it less flimsy. So this will be in one of the next videos, so that I finally can get the fuel cell out and can derust and seal the rear underbody. Oh yeah, and of course, if you remove the heat shield, you rip off the mounting brackets. The rear ones look comparatively better than the front ones, but I gotta do something. Maybe with 3D printing, with a high temperature resistant polymer or something, or maybe with welding, or I just put some heat shielding tape down. We'll see. Well friends, that's about it. You've seen it. The rear subframe was back from sandblasting. We managed to save the knuckles, which saves me $700. I probably will spend somewhere else on the car, let's be real. In one of the next episodes, hopefully all bolts will have arrived, and in addition to that the bushings, so we can reassemble the rear axle and keep working on the rear of the car. And if you don't want to miss anything of that, and if you like this day's episode or this week's episode, please consider and giving it a like, sharing and subscribing, and we see each other next time. Bye bye.